Good morning, Giant Nation. This is Tim. This is New York Giants Straight Talk, powered by the Poppycockers. As always, we're gonna have some special guests today. We're gonna have a Caleb Williams rant. We already got Big Blue forever saying it's rant time. We all said Mike Lee says Joe was at USC with Washington. Joe and the general manager of the Denver Broncos were the only two general managers at the game yesterday. The rest were scouts. Let's hope the time scouting is real. Turn up the heat, Mike Lee also says, and not needing Joe and not Joe needing to get away from Mara. Also, Mike Lee says, we got a triple for Mike Lee says, rant time will be when the streak of midseason replacement head coaches winning their first game off Giant off bat. No, this is a Caleb Williams rant. This is a Caleb Williams rant. This is going to be, but I'm going to have special guests today. I'm going to have a couple special guests. I didn't want to announce these special guests, but we're going to have some special guests today. I have one already waiting in the queue. Zacatech says, I believe the basement was for the rants, not the attic. Jesus, Zach. Jesus, Zach. You want it in the basement? Hold on. Wait a minute. Where's the basement? There we go. All right, Zach. We're in the basement. We're back in the basement. Guilty says, I thought the basement was for rents. Good morning, Tim. Good morning, Fabian, and all the crybaby supporters. Mike Pence says, come morning, Tim. Let's go get Caleb Williams. I have a special guest. And this guest has been in the news lately. And I'm going to, before I get to the special guest, I want people to guess who it is. He's been in the news lately. He's been a person that has been in the forefront of Giant radio and another controversy, and he's been all over the news and New York media. Can anyone guess who this special guest is going to be? Can anyone guess? Bueller. I'm going to wait to see if someone can guess who the special guest is going to be. He's always in the media. He's always around. He is one of these people that has been in the forefront of New York sports the last couple years. He has been waiting to come on patiently. He's been on some bad shows. Now he has been on some good shows. Everyone has got it right. I like to bring in right now the one, the only, the venerable Carl Banks. Or it's Dom the Duke of Funk.
Just pretending.
I'm not sure who else that would have been. Dom, how was that build up, man?
I've never been called Carl Banks before.
How was that? Oh, yeah, because we're going to start this one out early because there's only one place to go. There's only one place to be. There's only one place to go. Just make sure you know where to go to get your poppycocks. It's the Poppycockers. So we got the Giant game today against the Raiders. Raiders lost $85 million. $85 million.
I'm not sure it's that much money for the owner, all things considered.
Well, that's how much the owner lost between the contracts of firing Josh McDaniels, firing the general manager. They also fired a bunch of coaches, but they lost $85 million off this deal. And they promoted Antonio Pierce, the former New York Giant linebacker. Dom needs to be taller. He needs those heels to be taller. That's a good one. Dom, I love this one. Dom the Hobbit, Carl Banks. Pimp named Slickback says, Tim, apparently a 20-year-old kid is weak for crying, even though DJ's 27-year-old is making $100 million a year, but it's okay to cry. There's no crying in baseball. Daniel Jones is crying at the bench in the rain by himself after the Dallas fiasco. And it's okay because it's just showing his emotion. It's just showing that it's okay to cry. It's just showing how much he wants to win. Caleb Williams, a kid who has worked his entire life from Pop Warner up to get to the pinnacle at USC, to potentially go for a national title. His national title hopes were destroyed last night in a bad loss, even though he had a good game against Washington. I think the Washington Times was number 4th or 5th ranked. His family is a huge part of his life. His dad owns a facility that helps train athletes. His mom is a beautician who is a huge part of his life, who is always there for him. They're at every single game. They've watched him play since Pop Warner. He just ended his entire basically collegiate career because of a bad USC defense and a good Washington team. He has an emotional, anyone that's played a competitive sport, Dom, and I will tell you this, when I wrecked my knee the second time, I cried like a baby. I didn't cry because of the fact that I was hurt and it was in pain. I cried because I knew everything was done. You work something, you are successful at something, you become a part of something, you build towards something, then all of a sudden it ends. And it's over in a blink of an eye. And someone like Caleb is lucky enough to have his family there. We never talk about family units in sports, but it's important. It's important to have your family there. It's important to have everyone there to support you. So he cried. So he had an emotional moment with his mother. So what? He's a kid. And for the morons and small-minded Giant fans that can't figure this out, fuck you. Because of the fact you are too goddamn stupid to understand this, because you've never played anything competitive, all you could do is do this on a keyboard, because that's all you have in life. But instead, you are going to go after a kid, and he is a kid whose college career just ended, who is probably going to be drafted #1 in the pros, who the Giants sent their general manager to watch. And only one other general manager was there, and that was for the Denver Broncos, to get a close eye on this kid. And you are so ingrained with your panty boy moron quarterback who is in year 5, who I'm still having to hear, well, we have to wait to see what he can be. You are what you are after year 5. Get over it. I hope to God the Giants draft Caleb Williams. I hope to God. I hope to God they do. And I'm going to tell you this, Dom. I'm going to tell you this straight up. Here's 3 things I know. You're either an idiot, you're either a racist, or you're a Daniel Jones panty boy. Those are the 3 options for Giant fans. Those are the 3 options. Because to me, you have to be one of those. If you don't understand what's going on with Caleb Williams, if you don't understand what is going through his mindset, if you don't get it, if you don't understand that, I don't want you watching the show. I don't want you following me on Twitter. Hell, I don't want you following the channel. Because you're too goddamn stupid. And if you don't like it, suck it. I don't care. And right now, here we have Caleb Williams. And most of the racist Giant fans won't understand he's not Caleb Williams.
My last name is Williams.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm done. I'm done, James. I am done. I am done.
You sound done. What up, Dom?
Hey, James, how are you? I was just letting him go. You know.
I know. I saw him. I was getting ready. You know.
Explain to me showing up his teammates all the time. It's called emotion. How is it showing up his teammates? When Daniel Jones doesn't throw the ball, when Golden Tate yells at Daniel Jones after catching a touchdown, it's not emotion. It's not a problem. It's just the fact that you shouldn't do that to Daniel Jones. It's called college. This is what you do in college. James, I'm sick of Giant fans. I'm sick of a certain segment of Giant fans. I am truly sick of them.
I can hear.
No,
I can hear, brother.
This is one of these things that struck a nerve because of the fact that we always talk in this society about the parental unit, about how family's most important, how some of these kids and a lot of these kids in college grow up in single parent families and they don't have the support. They don't have this. This kid has the support. This kid, like I said, his mom's a beautician. His dad owns a sports training facility. They're there every day. They've been there every day probably since Pop Warner. So everything he just worked for in college ended yesterday. Ended on a good game against another good quarterback who's probably going to go in the top 5 as well. But people are upset with him and are yelling, well, he'll never make it in the New York media because he cries. Daniel Jones is crying at the end of the bench in year 5 after the Dallas game, and no one says boo. We have to hear about, well, he's just the ultimate warrior.
Oh, man.
This coming from the keyboard warriors, right?
This coming from the keyboard warriors. Exactly. So I don't care if no one ever watches this channel again. You want to know why, James? I'm sick of it. And I've said it before, James. I don't know if you heard. I think it's either three things. You're either a Daniel Jones apologist, you're either an idiot, or you're a racist. Those are the three things that I think.
You could be all three.
Or you're scared.
You could be all three too.
Or you're scared. Or you're scared that there's a new quarterback potentially coming in, and you don't want to see. It's But the thing is, though, you're.
Oh, this is a good point. Wait. This is a good point by Chris. Hey, Tim, remember when Tom Brady was passionate and OBJ was childish? Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, his teammates work hard too, but at the end of the day, he's there for his teammates. You never hear anyone say anything. Yeah, you never hear anyone at USC on this team say anything bad about him. USC, Josh Rosen, when he was at UCLA, you heard the rumblings that Josh Rosen was an asshole from his own teammates. So you don't hear that. But go ahead, Dom. I'm sorry.
That's right. I mean, there's nothing to say that after that incident, he didn't go and spend, time with his teamates afterwards, right? But I think the thing here is when you're drafting a quarterback, right? Whoever drafts Caleb Williams, right? Someone is going to. That's obvious. It is one of, if not the most important position on the field. Certainly the most position on offense. But you want as much to be as right with him as possible when you're drafting that, because little margins are the difference between winning and losing in elite sport. There is no question. And actually that secure home environment where he has a safety net, a comfort blanket, someone that he can go and talk to after the game, that is an additional thing that he will have in his weapon on top of all the sport, the physical stuff, because the mental side is just as important. And I would see that as a plus point to him. I wouldn't be concerned about the media thing. I would be concerned about him having a blow up at the podium when he's asked a difficult question. That's what I would be concerned about. I wouldn't be concerned about his emotional side and him having that support network. Actually, argue, but it is a plus point. So I wouldn't be concerned about this at all if I was a scout or GM of any side that were looking to draft him. I'd actually see it as a plus. I really would.
James, I want to get your take on this, but you missed the opening monologue.
No, I was listening.
Oh, you missed the opening monologue where for some reason Dom thought he was Carl Banks.
Don won?
Tim put something in his own coffee this morning, clearly. Got me and Carl mixed up.
Got it spiked. He had it spiked early, ready to go.
I had it spiked early. It's the time zone. It's the time change. James.
Yeah, that wasn't pumpkin spice's coffee this morning.
Actually, it's called Just Black. It's stronger than pumpkin spice. James, I don't know if you saw all the garbage on Twitter about Caleb Williams and Giant fans and how they're making fun of him and how they're saying he can't be a Giant quarterback because of the fact that he's emotional, and we don't want him because he's emotional. Because he cried with his mom, and one person wrote he's sucking his mom's boobies, and we don't need that in New York.
Well, just like last week, I'm gonna tell you to take a breath.
No more breaths. I'm blowing this shit up. We have a New York Knicks podcast coming out called 3&D, so I'm gonna put all my effort into that.
Simple question. I like to simplify things, jellify things, keep it simple.
Okay, jellify it.
Would you rather, and this is to the fans, to the chat. I already know what the chat's going to say, but to the fans, would you rather want a quarterback with a lot of passion or a quarterback who shows no emotion at all? Because that's basically different.
Or would you rather have a quarterback that walks off the field, doesn't even look at his head coach, sits down, and the head coach, to get his attention, has got to throw an iPad at him?
I mean, seriously speaking, like, this is football. This is a sport where camaraderie and emotion and passion, and just like Dom said, intellect, your mind matters as well. But having emotion and passion behind that, it's kind of needed. Even if you hide it, it's still needed. And with Daniel Jones, in 5 years, we have seen hardly any emotion at all. He is literally like the thing at the used car sales thing that blows in the wind, and it's just like,
that is the wacky way. That's the wacky. My son knows what that's called.
Yeah,
it's wacky inflatable tube guy.
Right. So the wacky inflatable tube guy, it's like you can't tell which way he's blowing, which way he's going. Same thing with Daniel Jones, like a win, a loss. Watch his interviews. We've watched his interviews.
We have a sample of his interview right now. Daniel Jones, We hear that you're going to play well today against the Vegas Raiders.
I hope everything goes well. If not, everything won't. That does not compute.
That's Daniel Jones.
You guys, some of y'all are too young to remember this movie, but there's a movie called Short Circuit about a robot. And the robot in that movie had more personality.
Johnny Five alive. No kill Johnny Five.
Johnny Five alive had more emotion and personality than Daniel Jones. And you're sitting up here talking about Caleb Williams can't be the. We need a guy in here with some moxie. This is New York, New Jersey, East Coast. We need a guy to come in here. Go ahead,
I'm not concerned about whether they display a passion or not. I think you can be a good quarterback without displaying passion. I think Aaron Rodgers is an example of that. What you don't want is a dick to come in here, not give a jot about his team, his teammates, not work hard. And you don't want a guy that will explode at the podium. If you've got the passion, then great. But I think you can show the passion for the sport without necessarily being a rah-rah guy. My issue is about getting a guy in here with the right talent that can lead the team.
I've said before, I'd rather have an asshole who can read defenses.
And Aaron Rodgers has passion. When he tells the entire Chicago stadium, "I own you," that's passion. When he's telling silly Jihad Ward, "Who are you, bro? You know who I am. You know who I am." That's passion.
I think it's
Daniel Jones.
In some ways, it's leadership. I don't necessarily have to have a rah-rah guy. Aaron Rodgers is possibly a bad example, but you know what I mean. That doesn't bother me so much. I just want a guy that can play football and will be there and lead his team. And Daniel Jones doesn't do either of those two things, and there's my issue with it.
We have to get to the Zach Attack super chat. Zach Attack says Caleb had his heart ripped out by his USC defense. And you know it's funny? You didn't hear him blame the defense. Yeah. The running game against the running game for Washington, what's his name? Johnson?
Johnson 7. He was amazing.
He was a transfer, had like 180 yards, had a bunch of big plays, was destroyed the USC defense. Penix had a good game, but Penix also threw an interception. People are like, well, Penix outplayed Williams. No, I think Williams actually outplayed Penix, but they're both going to go in the top 5. You know what? Honestly, I'd be happy to have either one of them as our quarterback in 2024. And everyone is right. Todd is right. It was Johnny Five.
Johnny Five is alive. No kill Johnny Five.
David says Johnny Five. Kevin says, I remember when Kavon Thibodeaux cried for stealing the game. It showed that's a great point. Caleb Williams cried when he sealed the game. And people say, well, it just shows his love for the game. It just shows it. It just shows how much he loves playing the game.
It's an idiot mentality, isn't it? I love the player, so therefore I'm going to be.
I love him.
Another player I don't love does exactly the same thing. Well, he's an idiot. I mean,
he's an idiot. Well, I'm getting Dom fired up.
It's funny how it works.
Hey, Dom, the Arsenal suck.
Oh no!
Yeah, we lost. We lost yesterday, so we must suck. Oh, but we won the other day, so we must be the world champions. El
Gigante says DJ is ChatGPT. I love this one by Sublight.
We're getting better every week, and we're improving, and
That's what he does. That's what he does.
Or wait a minute, I should change it this way.
We're getting better every week. Yeah, and improving. Yeah, women.
I think this characterization of Daniel Jones as a robot is really offensive to robots because they can be programmed to read the defense.
ChatGPT right now is crying because he was compared to Daniel Jones. Way to go, Big Al. We worried about taking down Skynet? El Gigante took down Skynet by comparing him to Daniel Jones. ChatGPT is like,
I don't want to be compared to Daniel Jones. I quit.
Oh my God. Arnold more emotion than DJ says Mike Lee.
Arnold Schwarzenegger in The Terminator, he got taught how to be cool in the movie. He was a killer robot. And the kid he was sent to kill taught him how to be cool. He even gave the thumbs up at the end of the movie when he was dying. Daniel Jones has never showed that. There was one clip, maybe, I don't think it was at the game we went to, but I think he was going down the sideline. He's like, slap hands, slap hands, slap hands. And you could see the teammates like, oh, yeah, slap hands. Don't throw a pick. Don't throw a pick, asshole.
Don't lose the keeper.
Little known fact about that movie, though, they weren't actually teaching the Terminator that. They were trying to teach Arnie how to, be cool.
Good point. Good point, James. Good point, Dom. That's why you're second on the screen and James is third, bringing that hard hitting information. We're gonna just move him and make Dom third now. Dom,
you reshuffled the lineup. Affirmative action, people.
I'm on the practice squad.
We got ourselves a reverse Oreo here. Oh, okay. And Caleb Williams fries, paints his nails, puts coffee in his mayonnaise. I don't care. Bring him here, says Chris. I don't care if he does all that stuff either, as long as he can throw touchdowns. Jeff Newman, Phil Simms had passion.
Who's the last Super Bowl winning quarterback that did not show passion or emotion? I'll wait. Even Trent Dilfer on the Ravens, if you watch his highlight, he showed passion and emotion.
I was going to go Brad Johnson, but even Brad Johnson showed emotion.
But he did. You can see it. Who's the last Super Bowl winning quarterback? This is rhetorical because there is none. Not in the last 20 years, anyway. Every quarterback in the last 20 years, since most of y'all have been watching football, has shown passion and emotion. Eli Manning, when he did the that's passion and emotion. Daniel Jones doesn't do that. I mean, my God, the guy could, even in the Arizona game, when he led a great comeback against a crappy team, but a great comeback. What great emotion and passion did we see after that? Oh my God. What was the game when he spiked the ball and it looked like he was throwing down some toilet paper? And he was just like, eh!
That was the Arizona game. That was the Arizona game.
It was the worst spike in NFL history.
Ultra soft. Huh?
It was nearly called as a fumble, wasn't it?
He was like, yeah, that's how you do it. Yeah.
OG Knockout says some Giant fans are racist. Tim, if Daniel Jones were black, he would have been out of here in year 2 or 3. To be honest, I'm not like Al Sharpton, thinking every white person is racist, but some are. You know what's funny? And we never shy away from race here. There's every nationality, every color, every ethnicity is racist. There's racist people in it. I mean, it's
prejudice everywhere. It's
not beholden to white people. It's everyone. Every you look at what's going on right now against the Hamas and Israel and what they're doing to the Jewish population right now. I mean, you have people,
going on for thousands of years.
You have people throwing red paint on the White House gates, yelling "Death to Joe Biden, Allah Akbar" in the United States. That's a little racist. But we're not allowed. We're not a little extreme. But we're not allowed to talk about that. Chris says he wasn't Johnny 5 until Short Circuit 2, but he was just 5. Oh, he's right. That's actually a good point. I need a hero.
Right. Remember that? Like that was like, yeah, and you're right. He grew into Johnny 5. We're in year 5 of Daniel Jones, and he's still the kid from Duke.
Honeypot says, Tim, let's go. Mr. Weaver says, hey, Tim, hey, guys, I understand emotion and everything and crying, but you're going to have 3-4 games, losing streak. You should man up. No, I don't agree. Because this is a game he had to win. They are now, 7-4, 7-3. This is a game he had to win. The way the games fell out today, this was a game he had to win. For any shot at making the playoffs, any shot of really doing anything to get into that national championship conversation, he had to beat Washington, who was ranked number 5.
Yeah.
This was it. This was rolling the dice. This was Jim Fossil. This was putting all of his chips in the middle of the table.
And he showed up.
Throws for over 300 yards, throws for 3 touchdowns.
He scored.
Almost scored 38 points or whatever it was. Too bad defense gave up 45. But somehow that's Caleb Williams' fault.
It's crazy because last night was exactly what you wanted to see. 2 big-time programs, both going for the playoffs, primetime game, 2 quarterbacks, both probably going in the top 5, definitely top 10. And you got the game you wanted to see. It was exciting, high scoring, both quarterbacks make plays. I'm going to say something real quick, too. In the second quarter, it was 3rd and 18. Washington had the ball. The throw that Penix made, because he didn't make a lot of great ones last night, but the one in the second quarter, 3rd and 18, when he's running to the sideline and he throws it into the end zone for the touchdown, that's better than any throw Daniel Jones made in his entire collegiate career. So if we can
I haven't seen it, but that's bold.
Yeah, but you can't even say that because Dom throwing some extra soft Charmin, into the garbage can 3 feet away. That's probably a better throw than Daniel Jones has ever made either.
True. And Dom has a better arm than him.
I've seen Dom's arm.
Dom has a better arm than Jones. He does. But I'm just saying, for everybody, like, I'm not even going to get into the race thing because I could go on and on about that. I already made a video about that. You know that. But if you don't want Caleb Williams or Penix, just from a football perspective, then you don't know football. You just don't. There's no way you could have watched Daniel Jones for 5 years. We're going into a game right now against the Raiders. No head coach. They benched their starting quarterback. No GM. One of our former players is head coaching them, and we're underdogs.
And they just got beat by a no-name quarterback by the Bears the week before.
What? We're underdogs.
We're a 1.5 dog.
Holy smokes! If that's not an eye opener to some of y'all, then you're just gonna stay blind forever. I don't know what else to say. I really don't.
Let me run through these real quick because I do want to talk about the Raiders game. If Daniel Jones is your franchise quarterback, why are we starting him in the lost season? Start Tommy DeVito as the tank commander. I agree.
Well, Tommy can't throw
because I know Tommy's not allowed to throw. Keith says Daniel Jones really does sound like that. I love this one. Diet Go says comparing DJ to Soundwave is offensive.
Whoa! Soundwave was cool.
Soundwave was the bomb, man. Soundwave was the bomb.
Not disrespecting Decepticons up here.
He loves the Balsar Galactic voice. No, that is not a Cylon Centurion. That is not, or maybe it is.
That is.
I don't know anything the Cylon says. What did the Cylon say? I forget. Oh, I know. Your command. There you go. We have to have a Cylon Centurion there. Sounds like the Transformer. What do we say is that if you put a young Caleb down to make 160 million sound better than that, then you know what the problem is. What about the USC quarterback, Tim? We're gonna talk about the other quarterbacks in a little bit. OG. Let's see here. Let's see. Danny says DJ's personality is just like his play, boring and uneventful. Tim, that's wrong. Shot was done. Notre Dame lost to Clemson. Fabian, what the hell are you talking about? I love you, Fabian, but you're gonna have to take a timeout. Fabian, you are my boy. You know I love you, but you know what? You're in timeout.
You timeouting people already? It's not even 10
people, you know what? I'm allowed to.
He wonkered me before the show even started.
I did wonk him.
Oh my God! He started. Oh no, you can't do that.
I had to wonk him. Williams has the tool. I haven't seen a quarterback since prospect Patrick Mahomes. Here's the thing about Williams. I said it on the stream last week.
Hold on. Let's not forget about Joe Burrow. Come on now. That's a little blasphemous. Speaking of race, Joe Burrow was nice at LSU.
Joe Burrow was nice.
Nice.
Joe Burrows was okay. Sucked at Oklahoma, but you know.
That last year was elite, though.
Here's the thing, and here's the thing. I said it before. Am I the biggest Caleb Williams fan? No, I'm not. And I've said it before. I think there's some parts of his game that you have to look at. Is he probably the most pro ready? I would say yes. I do like. I've talked about it in the stream last week. I probably like Michael Penix a little bit better. If you're looking at something for long-term results, that's someone that Michael Penix reminds me a lot of Anthony Richardson. The only thing I worry about Penix is he's a lanky kid that has got a big windup, which and I get concerned when people are like, well, we're going to work on that in the pros. I don't like when people change. Look at imagine if the coaching staff, imagine if Andy Reid went to Patrick Mahomes and says, I don't want you to throw sidearm. I don't want you to throw it 3/4. I don't want you to pitch it. I don't want you to throw it behind your back. Everything else you do. Imagine if he told him that. What kind of quarterback he would be. And that's why I said I think Michael Penix is he's gonna maybe take a little bit more time to develop, but I like him better in the long run. But I would be just as happy if the Giants took Caleb Williams. I would have zero complaints.
I think when most players come in most positions, they need some work, generally speaking, on something, but you don't want to be doing too much in the way of technique, and you don't want to be changing it too much. If you look at some of the Andrew Thomas comments in those early years where they were trying to change a lot of his footwork and stance and that sort of thing, you don't want to overly change it because it can negatively impact them. I don't mind them having something to work on. I think, that's quite good in some ways because it means they've got a sort of a ceiling to grow into, but you know, so I have no issues, I'll say, with players that aren't quite fully ready, but yeah, you don't want too much.
Well, I get worried about that because we the last 3 years, James, we've had a tendency to draft a lot of potential players. And I've said there's a difference between pro-ready players who may have a lower ceiling than drafting guys like like Azuda, Matt from Connecticut, and other players where have a much higher potential. But these guys with potential never seem to work out. Sometimes
not here anyway.
Most of the time, not here.
I'd rather just bring in a guy that's ready to play.
I mean, look at the Jets. How many potential quarterbacks have they brought in the last 20 years that have not worked out? A lot.
A lot.
A lot. I'm not going to go down the list, but a lot.
Come on, Browning Nagel was great. He had that one great quarter against the Pats.
Zach Wilson chased his Cougars and had one great throw at the combine, and he was anointed.
A dangerous throw that gets intercepted or cut out 9 times out of 10.
Not to be going the wrong direction. I would like Daniel Jones to go chase some Cougars, because then it would show me some confidence.
He doesn't have the moxie to handle that.
I love it because the scene in Money. A lot of people have seen the movie Moneyball. It's not like Draft Day, the movie Dom and I have never watched, and I love it because they have a scene where the scouts are in the room and they're talking about players they want to bring in. And one of the scouts looks at Billy Beane and goes, "We don't want to take him because he's got an ugly girlfriend," which means no confidence. So I'd rather have Zach Wilson go chase some Cougars because at least I know he's got the confidence to go out and do it.
Yeah, but James, when I point at you, you're to tell me he gets on base.
Right. Well, then he goes, what does he do? What is it? You want me to talk now?
Get
I mean, it's unclear whether they're talking about baseball or we're back to the Cougars and dating again with first, second, third base.
You pancake eating motherfucker, shut up.
Wrong film.
That's the only line we know in that film. We got R0 big no. We got Vinny G. Tim, always come here for the laughs. Great stuff as usual. Thank you, Vinny G. I haven't seen Vinny G in a while. We have current academics saying Jones' lack of emotion is exactly why Mara will not move on from him. Do they all mock do all the mock drafts that you want? Millie Vanera will always keep Vanilla Jones. Yeah.
Would you like me to try and read that last bit for you? Or
No, because that was a tongue twister. Let's see here. Mr. Weaver says, watch when the Giants draft Caleb Williams. Tim will be saying he's going to be the Jim Carrey experience. Is going to be the Jim Carrey experience. All is over. The Jim Carrey experience. I don't know. Is that Daniel Jones?
I don't get Jim Carrey is the man, so I don't know why we're comparing Jones to Jim Carrey.
Let's see here. I like Williams and would be happy to have him, but whether his playmaking skills would work in the NFL against Parsons is a huge question mark. I think Drake May is more suited for the NFL. I personally think that if I'm
like the Drake too.
I like the Drake. I like the Drake. But if I'm taking, if I have a chance to take May or Williams, I'm gonna have to take Williams.
Well, yeah. I mean, listen. Williams is the number one consensus over everybody except Giants fans. Well, a certain amount of Giants fans.
Certain segments.
Everybody else in the country would take that guy if they didn't already have a quarterback. But we're sitting here with a guy in his 5th year who can't stay healthy, is not consistent, overpaid, and we actually have fans going, well, I think they should continue to rebuild. Some mock drafts, even though I don't even know why I looked at this so early, have us taking a wide receiver in the 1st round. And it's like,
we don't know it.
We got Fabian back. We got Fabian back. Fabian, I love you. Fabian says you could tie me, but you can't keep me quiet. I don't want to keep you quiet. I don't want to keep. Listen, I've told people this: if I wonka you, and if I time you out with love, that means I like you. So that means what? That's like a personal.
It's his way of showing it.
Courage. That you got. Look at Dom. Look at Dom. Look at that.
Yo, why are you doing that to Dom?
Because he deserved it.
Oh my God.
See? Dom didn't take offense to it. Oh, shut up. Dom doesn't take offense to it. Look, he's hey everyone. I forgot to James. And I mentioned, I know I was joking before, but there is someone I do want to bring into the chat. And I did Wonka Dom for a reason. I was joking earlier, but there is a person that's going to come on that has kept the New York media by storm a little bit here because of what's going on with WFAN and everything that has been going on in the media with him and an argument that he's having with certain players. And he did want to have a moment to come on. So he wanted to come on a real show. So I wanted to make sure he had the opportunity to. Ladies and gentlemen, the venerable Carl Banks.
Yeah. Carl, you got an accent.
If you hang up on me again, right?
Okay.
Carl, where'd you go, baby?
Carl, where'd you go?
I told you, you hung up on me. Right, that's it. I'm off.
Rob said, sent you a text. I don't have my phone, Rob. I don't even know where my phone is. I got
Rob, what up?
What's up, Rob? I don't know what. Ohio. Skyline says, hello, everyone. Mike Lee says, Cougars would turn DJ down flat.
Yes, they would, Mike.
Bobby Johnson is a top 5 O-line coach. Is Bobby Johnson now a top 5 O-line coach? Because he'll only average like 3 sacks a game now after giving up like 12 a game.
Well, no, Daniel Jones is back.
Funny, I was going to be. Oh, sorry, James, go.
No, I was just saying Daniel Jones is back. So now the O-line, they're already depressed. And they're already like, well, going back to the Dallas game.
I like Williams and May. I like May. I like Williams. I like them both.
In all seriousness, though, if this line suddenly goes up and gives 7 sacks again for a couple of games, I mean, I don't necessarily expect it tonight. Although Raiders' defense isn't awful, but
then it's all Bobby Jones. I don't
all Bobby Jones again after it's looked better.
It's all Bobby Jones. The wide receivers couldn't get open. The grass in the dome was too high. It was set at 74.5 degrees instead of 72.6.
It's too warm out there. It's too warm.
It's too warm.
But I mean, in all seriousness, does all this come back? Seriously, is it all everyone else's fault again? I mean, I wouldn't be shocked.
Yes, no, that you've seen the stuff our fan bases. I have actually seen people like some of y'all. If I see y'all in public, man, I'm telling you, man, you're going to get really disturbing. Guy coming up to you asking, like, I've heard fans say it's really messed up how the offensive line plays so much better for Tyrod than Daniel Jones.
Do you know what, guys? It's Tyrod.
Like
Let's up it. We've got it.
I forgot to do a Johnny Wishbone. We had Mr. Belford.
I'm Johnny Wishbone, psychic extraordinaire. If you need me, just think Johnny Wishbone, and I come running.
Sorry, I saw you up there, my friend. I just didn't get a chance to find the Johnny Wishbone sound effect because I now have like 400 sound effects, and I don't know where any of them are. And shut up, Dom. I already know.
Well, the Leonard Williams is gone. So
I already know, Dom.
We better get back because it will be dark soon, and they mostly come at night. Mostly.
David says, I know Williams has more talent, but ever since that happens with the RG3, I always lean to the bigger, bulkier quarterback because the last one lasts a lot longer. RG3 was the best in the division, 1 injury and done. Well, here's the only thing about we have to put the RG3 injury into perspective. RG3 got hurt worse because Washington decided to play him. And instead of just keeping his ass on the bench because they were going in the playoffs, and I think he got hurt again in the playoffs, wasn't it? Did he make the playoffs? Yes. And he got hurt again in the playoffs. So his career was more derailed by the mismanagement of the Washington football organization more than to his slight of build. Because Daniel Jones is a big guy and hasn't played a full season until last year.
But think about what you just said. RG3, I think he won Rookie of the Year.
Mm-hmm. NFL Rookie of the Year. Yep.
The Redskins to the playoffs.
Yep.
And they rushed him back on the field when they probably should have sat him out.
He should not play.
And put Cousins in there because that's why you have him. They should have put Cousins in there. Meanwhile, we had a quarterback who was fully healthy, but for some reason he was still on the injured list last game when he was ready to go. But we're hiding the fact that he's healthy, ready to go.
Let's address that elephant in the room. And let's no, seriously, James, let's address that elephant in the room for a second.
Whoa, Dom, you got like super late.
Whoa, Dom.
Jesus just came in.
Dom, I thought I was one.
I'm the guardian angel of the New York Giants. It's gonna be okay.
No.
Mr. Ghost of Christmas Past.
Okay, wait.
I thought DJ's robot. I'd like to pass it 5 yards.
Let's talk about this first. Let's just talk about this for a second, though. Evidently, the medical staff cleared Daniel Jones to play on Saturday, but nobody told the head coach. I work with 2 NFL teams and 2 NFL teams, and I can tell you this right now. If it's the starting quarterback, if it's the star player, the coach is on that medical staff 24/7, same with the offensive coordinator, saying, how can we get this guy cleared to play? I'm sorry, Dable. I love you, but I'm slightly calling bullshit on this one. Just a little bit of bullshit.
I think we can remove the word slightly.
All right, I'm calling bullshit. You're telling me you did not have a conversation with the medical staff on Saturday. You did not have a conversation with the medical staff Sunday morning. You didn't have a conversation with the medical staff 2 hours before game time. You didn't talk to them. They were just there. Wait, where's the medical staff? They're on vacation.
Like you, Tim. They lost. Like you. Like you, he lost his phone. That was the issue.
I don't know what I did with my phone. I think my phone's upstairs. I ran downstairs because I was late. But Dom, if an Arsenal player was hurt and he's a star player, would the manager not know that this player is hurt or not hurt before kickoff or whatever the hell do you do in soccer?
I coach 8-year-olds. If my star player is hurt and I've got a big game, I want to know if he's fit, let alone being in the professional sports. For God's sake. Look, there's no way he didn't know that. That's absolute rubbish. And actually, someone somewhere needs to take a look at what our excuses are and what we're going to say to the media, because sometimes it's just such utter bollocks. It's ridiculous.
I see.
We need to get better lies. We need to get better lies.
Bollocks. That's a perfect word, Dom, for this.
James, I didn't talk. No one told me he could play.
In fairness, Dable misunderstood that. And thought there was a reference to his ability rather than his medical condition.
Do you think Brian Dable heard he could play and just did one of these?
No, I was like, damn, you took my joke. That's what I was. You took my joke. They came into the room. They said, "Hey, Brian, just to let you know, DJ's cleared to go." He's sitting there with Tyrod going over the game plan for the Jets, going, "Huh? Go give me some coffee."
I was gonna say,
go give me some coffee.
DJ's ready to go. No, I this has cream in it.
Yeah, and I don't like cream. Give me some milk. He's like, I know, but I said DJ. Yeah, I know. Go get the coffee. Hey, Double T, you ready to go? Okay, DeVito, you backing him up, but you're not throwing.
Now, my next question is to this, Don, and this is why I don't believe it. Also, because they didn't sign Barkley until last week. So if you knew DJ was going to be out again, why would you go into a Jet game, a rivalry game, a game you needed to win with Tyrod Taylor, who you're 34 years old, history of injuries, and a guy that you're not going to let throw the ball?
No, hold on.
Sorry, to be clear, are we talking about DJ or Tommy?
Listen, Dable, if you want to get fired and go coach Buffalo, just say it. Don't just make shit up.
He wants to go to the Chargers. That's where he originally wanted to go. For all you guys who don't know, Dable really wanted to go to the Chargers. And then they drafted that other guy. He sucks. The coach of the Chargers sucks. You can't have all that talent and be blowing games in the last 2 years the way he has. So that guy's probably going to get fired at the end of the year. Dable, he kind of looks like he may be self-sabotaging because we're forgetting the whole Gano aspect. We had a kicker go out there, try to kick the last couple of weeks, who's now having surgery. Excuse me? So why wouldn't you go for the 4th and 1 instead of having your hurt kicker go out there and try to kick a field goal that for the first time you can actually it's 50-50 chance he's going to miss this because he's hurt.
Because I want to shuffle on over to Buffalo. Fabian's got a good question on the super chat. Do you think DJ isn't playing in pain is true? There was a rumor, there is speculation that DJ is still in pain. And
football player pain. Ooh.
I'm actually gonna say this. I'm calling bullshit on that too. Because if he's actually in pain and it's a neck injury, then they would not let him play.
No.
I don't think he could play.
I don't think he could play either.
Not with the injury.
Wait, are we talking about because of the injury, or he just can't play in general? I mean, I'm going to keep.
No,
Why can't it be both?
Stay focused. The injury.
Stay focused on the injury. Could he play with the injury? Not because he couldn't play at all, because we know he can't play. But could he play with the injury?
No.
My thing is this: if you have a pulled muscle in your, I'm gonna tell you from experience. If you have like a pulled muscle in your arm, if you have something that's a strain or a sprain, the medical staff will tell you, and they will tell the coach, he can't damage it or he can't hurt it any further, which is usually what they tell you. But if it's something in your neck, after what we have seen, players getting carted off the field with neck injuries and the amount of caution that the NFL takes in reference to this, no, I don't think the story is true. I think the story may also just be another excuse that if Daniel Jones has a bad game against a bad Raiders team, well, his neck was he tried to man up and play, but his neck was still bothering him.
At worst, he's got some discomfort in it, by which I mean it's aching a little bit, but there's no more. There's no.
I don't even think they would do that. I don't even think.
But I'm saying at worst that's it. But I don't think that's what this story would be referring to. That rumor, it's a little bit of stiffness, but not would be the worst. But as you say, with a neck injury and the way the NFL takes head injuries and the like so seriously and back injury, there's no way I think that he's allowed to play in that condition.
Davey says, for all of you three, your hair is better than your friends. They all look like they just got out of bed. Come on, show me some bling. Come on, guys. Well, yeah, what the hell, man? Spruce up a little bit. This is big time.
I'm going for my rugged look.
This is big time. The rugged
all, I didn't know that in the Giants fandom I had to have my hair done to come talk about football.
On this shit, I don't know this comment. I just saw OG Naga and I saw Jesus of Nazareth. So I had to just jump to this comment. Jesus of Nazareth had to be at the game in order for Daniel Jones to have a decent game, and that he may not be enough for him to be a franchise quarterback. If Jesus of Nazareth is at the game and Daniel Jones doesn't play well,
the sun's about to come out. I'm about to do my Jesus act again.
He's going to do his Jesus. Oh, we have the Jesus music if we need it.
Oh dear. By the way, I'm off to a Leo Sayer tribute act later. That's what the hair's about.
Oh, Dom, this is one of the reasons why you're only invited sometimes.
He's making references. Most people are like, who's that?
I was going to say, he's making references. People are like, what the hell is he talking about?
Zach will Google it for you. You'll be all right.
Well, you know what? I just, hold on, wait a minute. We have some information coming in right now.
Uh-oh.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, no.
Jesus of Nazareth will be at the game today. He will be available. Jesus of Nazareth will be available for the New York Football Giants.
And now the odds are down to us being 1 point dogs.
Yeah, now we're only 1 point. Now we're only a half a point. We drafted Petro says we drafted quarterback this upcoming for sure. Do we draft it for sure, James?
Well, let me ask y'all a question. What's more important right now? Winning a game, and you always want to win the game. I don't ever want to lose. I don't like to lose. Let me just preface that by saying that I don't like to lose. We want to win all our games. However,
right.
given the state of our union, where we are right now as a team and a franchise, we're actually like dead in the middle of the season. What's more important right now? Winning meaningless games or actually looking towards the future?
It's because the ultimate trade-off, isn't it?
I see a lot of people in the Giants community who get mad at other fans who they're like, well, I don't know why y'all talk about Caleb Williams and tanking, and I want to win all our games, and da-da-da-da. And it's like if we win 5-6 games or another four games, because we got 2 wins. We win another 4 games, maybe 5. We have 6-7 wins at the end of the year. What does that mean? What does that mean? I mean, Daniel Jones is going to
we're not getting that means we're not getting a top 5 pick.
Exactly. And Daniel Jones
we're not getting a postseason.
And we're not getting in the postseason. And Daniel Jones is going to be here regardless because of the contract he signed. Even if we draft a quarterback, we're not cutting Daniel Jones in the offseason. He's going to be here next year. So what do we want to happen? We want to win a bunch of games. Some people actually think we have a chance to make the playoffs. Saquon Barkley, shut up. And I love you, but shut up. Stop.
Last week, the Raiders got beat by, I don't know his name, Tyson Baguette, something like Tyson Croissant. Whatever the hell his name is for the Bears, and they gave up 30 points to the Baguette or the Croissant or the Waffle or whatever the hell his name is. I don't even know his name. And so, and I've said this before, and I've said it a million times, James. And I said this on Twitter. Daniel Jones will have a great game today, and the Daniel Jones Panty Boys will go bonkers. See, this is what we have, because he's in a dome. He's playing against a bad defense who does have some defensive dogs who can go after the quarterback, but he's playing in the dome. He's playing perfect conditions. He always plays well in the dome. Have that great game, and everything's gonna be see if we keep him healthy and we keep him upright, look what he can do. And then he's gonna go to Dallas and get wrecked. And I've already made this 2-week prediction on Twitter. Then he's gonna go to Dallas, get wrecked, and it's gonna be everyone else's fault but Daniel Jones.
But look at it the other way around him. What happens if and you're right, he does play well in a dome, which is why I said to you in the week, you were sort of saying that you're writing off a Saints game. I was like, I wouldn't write it off because it's in a dome. But what happens if he goes tonight and loses tonight with all the stuff the Raiders have got going on? What happens if he can't beat the Raiders? And that
I'm going to be doing this. Yeah. Danny Jones, Panty Boys, suck it. That's what I'm going to do.
Here comes Caleb.
Caleb Williams. One step.
But that's a great question, Dom. Like, can you imagine the online fighting that's going to happen in the Giants community if he loses the game?
To Dom's point, to Dom's earlier point, and it's not the one on his head. I've talked about this. They are going to say he was not 100% healthy because the medical staff did not tell Brian Dable that he wasn't 100% healthy.
It was a perfect storm because the Raiders got their new coaching staff and they got the new coaching staff bump. It'll be everything else, won't it? It always will be. But what does it say about him as a quarterback, though? Seriously, if he loses tonight.
That's a great question. Like forget all the if he loses this game today, and I'll shoot him a little bail in saying that if he has a neck injury, which he has, then he's not really practicing these last few weeks. Like he's watching film, he's throwing lately, but he's not full on practicing. So he hasn't been practicing other than maybe the last couple of days. Okay, cool. I'll shoot him a little bail on that because I'm a human being. But if he goes out there and loses to AP, Big Pierce in his first, also little tidbit, Zach, I'll save you the trouble for this one. Interim coaches in their first game, going back, I don't know how many years, but they're 15-9. 15-9. Because usually the team is going through so much turmoil that firing the coach or benching the quarterback or getting whatever toxic entity was out the locker room, at least for a week or two, alleviates the pressure and the team will actually come together and play hard.
Let's just get this to Fabian real quick. But they say roster's cutoff time is 4:30 on Friday. No, roster's cutoff time is 90 minutes before game time. The team does not have to turn in their 46-man or 53-man roster for the week until 90 minutes before kickoff. So that kind of dissuades the fact that we didn't know Daniel Jones was healthy till Sunday.
This is actually a genuine bit of a niche question. What happens if it's an injury in warm-up? Are you allowed to make a change to it, or is that it?
If it happens within warm-up before kickoff, no, you can't make a change. You can't.
You got to play the cards you got.
You have. It's 90. Yeah. It's 90 minutes before kickoff.
Yeah, I thought that was still the case. It was a genuine question. Just
it's a genuine stupid question, but we'll answer it.
Hit that like button too. Hit that like button.
Hit the like button. I haven't been saying that. Thank you, James, in your Ohio State mug. Why?
That's right. Every time I see Rob with that big yellow beanie on, he's like, "Well, I'm not a Michigan fan." Why are you wearing that?
What happened to Rob? He's not even in the chat. I was going to tell him to come on.
He's in the chat.
I haven't seen him. I have not seen one Rob comment. No, there's a Rob comment. Come out.
3:48.
Which one?
3:48. But that'll be my time. So
3:48.
10:48 your time.
So that means it's 12:97.
I literally just told the US time.
I know we were doing some math here. Dable trusts Tyrod Taylor more than Danny. Check down Jones. We all know that. Let's see here. The Raiders are going to play hard for Antonio Perez. They definitely want to beat the Giants. They're coming after Daniel Jones today. Giants losing this game. Let's talk about this for a second, guys. You're right. Let's talk about this for a second.
It's going to be a bad loss if we do.
What? Well, shut up, James. I haven't asked the fucking question yet.
Sorry.
Damn.
Oh, I feel like Tommy DeVito. I'm on the bench.
I have to say something. I didn't only knock James out for a reason. We have a guest coming on, Dom. He's been in the mute. He's been in the news. He has been in. He's been in with WFAN radio. He's been in everything right now. He is the storm controversy right now for the New York Giants. He is the one. He is the only. Carl Banks. See, that made more sense.
At least
that made more sense. That made more sense.
Is this like that Spider-Man gift? I'm Carl Banks. No, you're Carl Banks.
Oh, we're gonna talk about this in a minute, and I'm gonna be the only one that says it. But Carl Banks has to drink a big tall glass to shut the fuck up. I'm getting so tired of Carl Banks. When Jeremy Shockey walked off his spot on WFAN radio and refused to come back on, everything I'm talking about it now. When he refused to come back on, he was called someone that was not honoring his commitment, someone that did not honor his agreement with WFAN. And they were not nice to him. And it was on the Mike and the Mad Dog show, which is one of the reasons why he left, because they were kind of assholes to him. But it was all his fault. I believe Joe Torre at one point in time stopped doing his daily or weekly radio show on FAN. You heard that it was his fault. He needed to man up. He had to honor his commitments. He had to do what he was told that he was going to do. Ed Whitson did the same thing. Eric Mangini did the same thing. There's a lot of players. There's a lot of people that have walked off WFAN weekly spots over the last, since WFAN has been around since 1987. It started at 3 o'clock in the morning in 1987. And I know this because I'm old. And there's been plenty of players, there's plenty of athletes who have had problems, who have issues, who have walked off the shows that they were designated to be a part of, but you always heard it was those players' fault because it was their lack of commitment to honoring their contracts and their commitment with WFAN, and they took all the heat. But now it's Carl Banks, and well, you know what? He did the right thing.
He did the right thing.
Sorry, guys. I said this on Twitter. You honor your commitments. He didn't quit WFAN. He is still going to do the games. He's still going to do stuff on the radio. He's just not doing his weekly spot on that show, which he is contractually obligated to do, but he quit. James, you go to your job right now. You go to your manager and you tell them, I don't like the way you're treating me. I'm quitting. What is that manager going to say to you?
Yes.
Well, I got a special relationship with my manager, so he was close.
If you didn't like your if it was a normal manager and if it was a normal manager,
James, you got a special relationship with you.
We know it's special relationship.
Hey, don't get me in trouble, Don. Don't get me in trouble.
I was waiting for the bagel, Don. If that happens in a normal workplace, you know what the manager would say to you? Goodbye. And that's what WFAN did. And then everyone's sitting here like it's all their fault. And Carl Banks had nothing to do. If you watch that interview, no one was listening to anyone.
No.
Nobody was hearing. And then I love this thought process. This is my favorite thought process. Well, they weren't listening to Carl Banks, and he played the game, and he is an expert, and he has 2 Super Bowl rings. And he played the game, so he has more of an understanding of these guys that didn't play the game. Okay, so let's go to Twitter and let's go to giant content creators. The majority of them never played the game. I played the game and worked in the game, so I'm a fucking genius. So everyone should listen to me and nobody else. It can't have it both ways, guys. You see the catch-22? Not you. I'm talking to the people in general. I'm kidding.
Yeah, that's true. It's true, man. It's really, I mean, honestly, I don't like the argument of it's two-sided. I don't like the argument of just because. Yes, you're a professional. You won a Super Bowl. You play at the highest level. Obviously, you should have more knowledge than most of us. You know, Tim, I know you've been around football. You've been behind the scenes. You see a lot of things a lot of other people haven't gotten a chance to see with their own 2 eyes. Most of us, you know, it's normal. We played Pop Warner. We played junior high. We played high school. Tried to play in college. Some of us did play in college. Maybe a couple of us even tried to make the pros or even a Canadian league or something. whatever. But just because you played in the NFL and you were a Giant great, that doesn't mean everything you say is going to be the gospel. You know, Carl Banks was a linebacker. Does that really mean he can identify what is wrong with the quarterback all the time? No. Or he can identify who's going to be a great quarterback prospect or who's not? No. You know, it's just I just don't understand this age we're living in where, and I get it, you know, usually the guy on the couch, the keyboard warriors, you know, as we like to call them, they're just spewing out stuff, hoping something sticks on the wall. I get it. But we're also living in an age where you have more information, a la Big Zach. You can Google stuff. You know, you can actually the camera work on these games now, where they show you everything. We're seeing angles now that we were not able to see 20, 30 years ago. We just weren't. So there's a lot of things that you're able to see, even as fans, where you could even say to somebody, "Well, hey, you know, I know you played, but you know, this is what I'm seeing." And that's the one thing that I'll give the guys on WFAN when they were saying that. I mean, they asked Carl Banks straight up, well, what does Kavon Thibodeaux do well? And instead of him answering the question directly like a man should, he kind of pit-patted around and like and gave a couple of just loose answers. And I just don't understand that. Like all three of them.
He got called out.
You know, it's really silly. You know, like when you're having discussions, like there's three of us here right now. And we're actually friends and brothers, so we're not those three. But there's three of us here right now. We've been having a dialogue, conversation going back and forth, along with people in the chat. No problem. So there's no excuse why you have three professionals on the radio, and they can't conduct themselves in a more appropriate manner than what they did. And then for Carl Banks to get mad and say, "Well, I'm taking my football and going home. I had enough."
It's, you know, that's the same thing.
That's what he did. That's what he did.
I said the same thing to someone, and I actually had a football. And I'm like, I'm taking my football and I'm leaving. I'm not playing with you guys anymore.
Like, oh, I can't be quarterback. This is my ball. My mom bought me this ball. You guys play with rocks. I'm out.
Wait, was it Caleb Williams' mom?
Like, you know, I just
wiping
I
the
just don't
tears off
understand.
I couldn't give a flying toss about it. I can't believe it's still making the news now, right?
I still can't believe it's still news.
Man walks
Banks
off
was
radio.
talking about it.
Well, you know, that's the point too. This is Carl Banks. You know, this is his. I guess this is his moment. I don't know.
Yeah,
I love Carl Banks. I've told the story that I met Carl Banks in 1987 in Pasadena in the hotel when the Giants, because I was at that game. I was going with my father to Australia, and we stopped over in California because of the fact that's where you lay over before you go continue trip to Australia. And he was able to get tickets to the game, and we actually stayed at the same hotel. And I ran into Carl Banks in the elevator, and I tell the same story. It was one of the, you know, as a sports moment as a kid, it was one of the greatest moments because I played linebacker before I got shifted over a little bit more to safety. And, you know, I this was one of my guys, you know, so I always had that moment. I mean, literally, I still have, you know, the Carl Banks helmet, you know, standing, you know, right on top of my computer because that's my guy. But at the end of the day, get over it. You're wrong. Honor your commitments and stop talking about it because it's kind of getting boring now.
Well, it's what we all teach our kids, isn't it? You say you're going to do something, you do it.
You do it.
No, that's what we used to teach kids, Dom.
Good point.
Now they're teaching
That's
kids.
what I teach mine.
Your feelings and your emotions are the number one thing. If you're unhappy, then you let it be known you're unhappy. You don't have to sit there and think anything. You have to man up and shut up for a minute and just do your job.
Don't necessarily fully subscribe to that.
We don't teach that anymore, though. We don't. Not over here.
I do.
I
do.
I don't know if Fabian's being facetious. I don't know.
Their feelings are important, but also you say you're going to do it right now. I don't care. You're doing it.
But Fabian says exactly. Thanks, Tim. That's why you were the smartest. I don't know if he was being facetious because anyone tells me that I'm smart, I automatically just go with they're being facetious. So.
I mean, in the middle of Tim's opening rant, he was like 3 things, and I didn't know he could count to 3.
That was cool. That's why they told you.
I can count to 1, 2. I can count to 2, Dom.
I just love how long it took you to wonk me.
In all seriousness, and it's actually funny because I just got a DM, and someone does want to come on, and we were just talking about him a moment ago, and he is the gentleman that, of course, is having all the controversy right now with WFAN, having all the issues. Former New York Giant linebacker.
Big Rock.
I had to get the beanie just for you, baby.
It's the big R0B.
What's up, y'all?
It is not Carl Banks.
I am Carl Banks. No, you know what we should do? Who's ever seen the movie Catch Me If You Can?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay, bad movie reference. I don't want to deal with it. All right, now we're down to 3. Look, I can count. You know what the thing is, though? He got hung up on and he came back.
Because he's a man.
I did.
Did you just say Carl Banks is a man? Wait, because he's a man? Who said that?
No, I said Bobby.
It wasn't me. I know.
No, the reason why I asked about the movie was because, like, in the beginning of the movie, they're like on this game show, and there's like 3 people that pretend like they're Frank William Abagnale. So I could be Carl Banks, and then he's Carl Banks, and then he's Carl Banks, and we can all be Carl Banks.
I don't think anyone's mistaking me for Carl Banks.
You almost put Dom to sleep.
You never know.
I gotta get to the super chat from Fabian. Love and respect, guys. Sunday and game day. Thank you. Razzle the Great says, Tim, need to see your high school football card. You know, it's funny. I actually sent that to James a long time ago. I sent James my high school picture, and I also sent I forget why we were trading pictures back and forth. And I sent him a picture of me playing baseball, like in the 4th grade. On our traveling baseball team, which I thought was pretty fun. Because then James sent me back his picture, and I was cracking up. So I'm like, oh my god, we were young.
Yes, we were young, and we were outside doing.
I know we were
wild and free.
We were outside doing things, but I don't think I looked any different.
I was never young. I was born as a middle-aged man.
Well, we all know that hobbits age slower, so we know this.
Dom was born and was already the CEO of Poppycockers. Like as soon
as he came out of the womb,
I was born to do
it. Came out of the womb. Came out of the womb. Doctor looked at him and said, "What are you going to be when you grow up?"
Now you have to pay extra.
CEO Poppycockers.
If you want something coming out there, you have to pay extra at Poppycockers for that. All right.
All right, we want to get some of these Carl Banks ones right. Here's a Blackbird Midnight says, as a man, you have to stand by your words. Daryl says, we always love Daryl's comments. Sup, guys? Carl Banks makes my head hurt. He's KT at a monster game simply because he had 8 pressures, but never said what those pressures translated to. I've said this before. The NFL, and I can attest to this, they do track pressures. But the reason they watch film constantly and consistently is because they can tell you what those pressures equated to. So pressure A equals B. They will tell you that this pressure was a 5-yard completion. This pressure led to an incompletion. This pressure led to someone running out of the pocket. They will tell you what it means. The pressure stat over the last, I would say, 10 years has been used more as a fan stat than anything else because they are never equating what the pressure Great example, Justin Herbert, rookie season. He had a better completion percentage, better yards per completed pass, more touchdowns when he was under pressure and under duress. So his pressures equated to something good happening. He actually had worse stats when he wasn't under pressure during his rookie season, which is kind of unheard of. So you have to equate what that means. You can't just throw out a stat and say, well, he had 14 pressures. Okay, what did those 14 pressures? Dexter Lawrence, who I love, 14 pressures against Zach Wilson. Okay, like we used to say when I played, scoreboard. What did it equate to? It equated to the Jets winning the game.
No, actually, you know what that equated to? It equated to Kavon actually getting some sacks. Because I guarantee if you actually broke down the film, the pressures from King of the Almost Sack and Sexy Dexy. I think
Almost sacked.
I bet you half of their pressures led to his sack.
Technically, you can't do that anymore because he's not on the team.
Well, at this
It
point,
led to him getting sacked. Well, traded.
wait, at this point in time, we all have to understand that the king of the almost sack will be officially retired today. The king of the almost sack will no longer be played in online big blue sport. We wish Leonard well, and we hope he finds happiness wherever he may be. Which of course, amen. So if you want to hear King of the Almost Sack, it's a $5 donation to Philadelphia Children's Hospital. So make sure you give out your $5. If you give your $5 donation, I'll play King of the Almost Sack every time I see one. And
you know what I don't get? Like, you got like, and I don't have an issue with Carl, but you got Carl and like Lawrence Tynes, like he's a fucking idiot. But like he'll go on like so.
But he played the game, so everything he said is accurate.
Yeah, I know. And it's like, dude, like
I'm doing my Leonard Williams tribute, by the way.
I was gonna say,
Sorry,
Dom.
What Leonard Williams tribute.
Dom, what is going on over there?
There you go. It's like, dude, like Lawrence, like you played with fucking Eli Manning, like you know what it's like to play with a good quarterback. Like, how do you watch Eli and the way that he played the quarterback position and look at Daniel Jones and be like, yeah, Daniel Jones, he's got it. He's got it. You know, like he's it, man. Like how do you do that? And then with Carl, like, bro, Carl, you played with, and I mean, I'm not putting him in this category, obviously, but you played with Taylor, you played with Carson, like you played with these dudes.
You played with Gary Reasons. You played with Peppers. I mean, you played with
not to mention whoever he played with when he went to Cleveland and then when he went to Washington and everything like that. Like I don't know who they had over there, but it's like, dude, like, look, I don't have an issue with Kavon. I was giving him a lot of shit, and he's been playing. I think he's got like 8.5 sacks right now on the year. I think if I'm right on that, I think he's got 8.5.
Yeah, pretty close.
And TJ Watt's got 9.5. Well, when I was watching them play on Thursday night, he had 9.5. I don't know if he had a sack. He may have like 10 or 11 now because I think he had. I think
he did have a sack. He also had a roughing the passer penalty.
So he's probably got 10.5 now. But I mean, look, if you're getting 8.5 sacks and you're a sack and a half behind who I think is probably almost a good shot to win Defensive Player of the Year this year in TJ Watt, like, I mean, that's, there's something to be said for that. My thing with this going into this game is I'm wondering how Dexter is gonna be with Leo not on the field. I get Leo's thing, but like Leo's a good football player. So I wonder how. Go ahead, Dom.
Just really quickly, sorry, I'm going to have to go because something's gone wrong here.
Okay, well, he had to go.
Right. That time I'm annoyed.
Yeah.
Just on that question you just asked, Rob. Just on that question, though, Rob, I'd look at last year when Leo wasn't playing. What happened? Just by way of answer that question. But guys, I'm really sorry.
They're actually their yards given up per attempt actually went down in reference to the rushing game when Leo didn't play.
Yeah, but like the other thing with that too, take it easy, Dom.
All right, man. See you later.
Get me later.
All
right, no problem. The other thing with that though, Tim, is like look at the caliber of teams that they were playing. Like the teams that they were playing weren't very good. You know what I mean? So it's like that could be. That could be something there. So it's like, I don't know.
So the Jets offense is good?
No, I don't think the Jets offense is good. Like Breece Hall, I think is a very good football player. And I think they had him to like 12 carries for like 11 yards than his screen.
You have to go for this. They lost both centers. They had a guard starting at center. They lost their starting tackle this is all in the game. So we always talk about not you, but we have a segment of the fan base that talks about Daniel Jones and those no offensive line help. Okay, well, you lost not only your starting center, but your backup center, and then you had to have a kid come in from that plays guard, plays center, and then you lost your starting tackle. So that's a bad way to go up against Dexter Lawrence.
Yeah, I mean Dexter was having a field day, last week against the Jets, and I think now with Leo gone, I think Leo was the leader of the defensive line room. I do. I think that he was. Now you got a guy like Dexter that's going to step up, and I think that Kavon this is an opportunity for Kavon to maybe assert himself as far as maybe being a young leader on the defense. He's having a good year, right? I think there was no question on the defense. The leader of the defense was Leonard Williams. I think he was a leader on the defense. I think, Bobby Okereke coming in, I think that, he, became a leader on the defense, and McKinney on the defensive. Let's say what you want to say, but I think McKinney is a good leader on the field and everything like that, as far as, in the.
I got bored. Watch the video and ask Thanks. What Kim does well, and he was like the film. He says, "Watch the film," and they said they don't see him impacting. And then Carl was like, "You guys have no idea." Blah blah blah. I think that's a good point. That was good, Rob. I had to walk you. That was too long.
It's quite all right. I should have walked myself.
It was a good answer, but it was going way too long. But that is a good point that he brings up, that going back to the Carl Banks. If you actually watch the Carl Banks thing, Rob, and we talked about, you weren't here when we were talking about this. I say Carl Banks needs to drink a big tall glass, shut the fuck and get over it. Because of the fact that he's not fulfilling his obligation. And there's been plenty of players that, have walked out of the same spot and were blasted for it, for not honoring their commitments. But if you do watch the actual interview, and I think more people are into watching snippets of it, they do ask Carl Banks what he does well, and his response really was, watch the film. Okay, well, if I have a guest and I have a host that is supposed to be the subject matter expert on something, why am I going to watch the film? I'm asking you.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at. It's like, okay, what does he do well? Well, you play the position. Now, granted, Carl wasn't like the same caliber player. Like, I think Carl was more of like a 3-4 linebacker. He wasn't like that edge rusher type of player, but you still know how to play the linebacker position. Right. You should be able to be like, hey, you know what? When he sets the edge, he sets the edge well, or he's got really good with his hands, or, he's developed this multi move, where he's using more of his hands and stuff like that. Like, you should be able to bring that stuff up. Just say go and watch the film. It's like, dude, like,
that's not an answer.
Yeah, it's like,
you don't have an answer. That means you don't have an answer.
Exactly. Like, you should be able to know that. Like, people give Dan Orlovsky shit, right? Because he ran out of the back of the end zone, he did all this. But when he breaks shit down, he breaks shit down. Like, he will tell you exactly to the T. He reads this, he does this, you're looking there, finds this hole. Like, he will break it down to the T. She said. He will break it down very, very good. And because he knows the game of football, he played the position. For anybody that doesn't know, JT Sullivan does the QB school on YouTube.
Is that the former Rams quarterback?
I think he's Rams.
And 49ers, right?
It's 49. Didn't he play for the Saints? I think he played for the Saints too.
He started off his career with the Rams.
He might have. But even though, like, with that, like, he was in the league, right? He wasn't no big time player, but he knows the fucking position. He knows the route concepts. He knows all of that. He can break it down. Like, if I go to you and I ask you, like, if I go to Lawrence Times and I say, yo, what does Graham Gano do great?
JT Sullivan was everywhere. The 49ers, the Bengals, the Chargers, the Raiders, the Saskatchewan Rush Riders, the Detroit Lions, the Frankfurt Gallants.
He was everywhere.
They always say he's like dog shit. He was everywhere.
Yeah. Like, you can go to anybody and ask, like, you can go to probably, Peyton Manning right now. Hey, what is Joe Burrow doing good? What does he do good? And he'll be able to break it down for you, hands down. Like, if you played the position, I should be able to ask you, and you should be able to tell me, especially if it's a team that you fucking cover. Like, come on, dude. And dude, you do the fucking Brian Dable show. You're on the practice field.
James and I are at the Seattle game, and we were chatting, and we were chatting about this even beforehand. We talked about Kavon Thibodeaux. We talked about a lot of things, but we were talking about Kavon Thibodeaux at one point. And I kept telling James, and we always laughed about it, and this was even before we went to the game, that if you watch Kavon Thibodeaux in the early weeks rush the passer, that the tackle was pushing him to the sidelines because of the fact that he was cutting his rush way wide, and the tackle was understood that and was just pushing him to the sidelines. And James and I were talking about it before the game even started, and Kavon got his first sack. And
you said this was the Seattle game, you said, right?
This was the Seattle game.
Okay.
So Kavon got his first sack in that Seattle game, which was I believe in the first quarter. And James and I were both laughing because we were watching the play, and the first thing we said was, look, he cut it to the inside.
Yeah, the sack that he got, wasn't it not due to him? It was due to the quarterback kind of got flushed into him.
But he did. But he if he would have cut his rush to the outside,
there never got
nobody there. So he understood his assignment. And we talked about it, and he cut the play to the inside, which led to the sack. Same with his last sack at the end of the game. He got that in the interior of the line. He cut it back to the inside. You watched him against the Cardinals and a bunch of other games. He's cutting his play to the inside. Now, if novice like James and myself can look at the first 4 weeks of film and say, hey, if you watch, you can see him being pushed wide on almost every play when he's rushing the passer. That's why James was calling him Kavon, the friendly pass rusher, because he was just never there.
Kavon, the friendly pass rusher.
He learned to cut it in the inside. Carl Banks, with his infinite wisdom and his mass knowledge and his Super Bowl rings and everything else, should tell you, well, if you watch the film over the last couple of weeks, him working with the defensive line coach, he is taking his rush to the inside. He's maintaining his edge and holding his assignment much better than he did before. And he is turning around and using a little bit of a motor that we have not seen previously, where when he's taken out of the play, he is still going to the point of attack and making plays. There you go, Carl.
Does he work? Does Andre Patterson work with Dave's? No, Dave's. With Kavon, like, or no? Like, does, as far as position wise,
he probably. I would say more than likely he works both with the linebacker coach and the defensive line coach, because he plays both. He basically plays
both.
But more recently, he has been putting his hand in the dirt. I know you want to give Mr. Patterson all the credit in the world. And
no. I'm just and I was just asking because I like Andre Patterson, but I didn't know if he would work with them. Let me ask this, because you brought up the Seattle game. Have you noticed from the Seattle game to the game against the Jets, and I know he's going up against Mekhi Becton, who sucks, this other guy, number 61, who's bad or whatever. I get all that. But did you notice anything? I don't necessarily, I know that they're going against bad players, but I also am looking at like how he was playing and the moves that he was doing. The cut that he got at the last sack against the Jets, where he cut it and then cut it back outside and was able to kind of break down. For you to do that or have the knowledge to understand that is good. What have you seen from the Seattle game to the Jets game now? That is there been a lot of improvement that you like, or is it all overhype?
I'm going to have to go with Mr. Williams. I believe you have an answer to this question.
Yes, teacher. Thank you.
Yes, in the back, please.
In the back, because I always start in the back.
Wait a minute, Rob. That was racist. In the back.
No, but I always sit in the back. So it's actually not. It was a good call. Now, you got that ugly hat on. But
we don't believe racism here.
Shout out to T-Brad too, fellow Michigan fan.
You're only saying it's a fucking ugly hat because you're a fucking Ohio State fan. I'm not even a Michigan fan. I just like it because I like the fucking color yellow. I just like it.
I know, but I see yellow and I gotta bash it. Sorry.
All right, both of you need to shut up. Don't forget to hit the like button out there, everyone. Okay, we got 46 likes. Let's get up to 50. Then I will bring these two knuckleheads back, and James will be able to answer his question. Okay, James, go ahead and answer the question.
All right, let me stop. All right, so that's a great question, Brother Rob. Two things, like Tim alluded to. In the last few weeks, he has been changing how he attacks the quarterback or attacks the pocket. He's doing more inside rushes. His motor also has actually picked up. He's actually chasing the play, chasing the ball a little bit more than he was doing the first few weeks. So he has changed some of his technique, which has improved his results. The flip side, however, though, if you look at the games, did he sack Dak Prescott? I don't think so.
No.
Did he sack Josh Allen? I don't think so.
No, he only
Most of his
in the Bills
most
game.
of
He
his
had
sacks
4
are
tackles in the Cowboy game.
cool. Most of his sacks came against who? Zach Wilson.
Wait,
He got
you,
Geno Smith.
you forgot one. Did he sack the astronaut?
Oh yeah, the black astronaut who got traded to Minnesota because he was playing so well.
He had 0 tackles for 0 assists for 0 sacks for 0 pressures against the astronaut.
Against the astronaut, right? Did he get a sack against Brock Purdy?
Yes, he got one.
So he got one against Brock Purdy. Okay,
He got
cool.
one against Purdy.
But to be fair, Trent Williams wasn't playing.
Yes.
And Brock Purdy is technically, I still look at him like he's still like a rookie. Like I know he started like 14-0, but he's still like in his rookie phase. So all I'm saying is, and you alluded to it too, Rob, that most of his sacks have come against not that great offensive linemen, quarterbacks who are not on a high level. Because Zach Wilson, he had a great game against the Jets, but we can all agree Zach Wilson sucks, and he holds onto the ball a little long, which gives the defense more time to get to him. So it's a combination of everything.
If you take a look over the last 2 games, James, who were the quarterbacks the last 2 games?
It was Zach Wilson and I can't even remember the guy before. Oh, Sam Howell.
Sam Howell. So he's had out of his 8.5 sacks, he's had 4.5 in the last 2 games.
Against Sam Howell.
And both of those guys were holding on to the ball
Oh,
pretty.
and now to Rob's point, his last sack, I don't attribute anything he did technique wise on that sack. That to me was more of the fact that he was motoring for that sack. I give him what you refer to as the hustle award on that sack, because if you remember that play, Zach Wilson rolled out of the pocket. He went to the one sideline, and honestly, that play seemed to go on for about 19.5 seconds before Kavon got him from behind. So I have to give him more of a kudos in reference to hustle than I do have in reference to technique.
I just think it was good, like, because when he had his interview with Carl Banks, he was breaking down. What I liked to hear was the fact, like, hey, in the game, I'm processing how these guys are blocking me. And he was talking about Mekhi Becton, and he's like, on the first sack, I which was the sack fumble, he's like, I knew I could get around him. He said the second time that I was going up against him, I tried to do an inside move and he stopped me. So I knew that I couldn't go inside. I needed to stay going outside. He said on the last sack, he talked about how he cut inside because the guy was kind of like with his feet work wasn't that good and he was leaning. So he said, I cut inside and just bounced it back out to get him like kind of off balance. I thought that was good to hear him like recognize those things. I get who he's going up against, and right, he's not going up against. If I'm going to do that for Daniel Jones, I'm going to do it for everybody. Like, I'm going to keep it even across the board, right? But what I will say is that, he, and I give the same kudos to Daniel Jones, the person you're going up against is still a football player, and you still have to be better than that player, and he was better than that player. Mekhi Becton's still a top draft pick. Had been injured. He still got the better of him, and this other guy, number 61, whatever his fucking name was, but
you just proved your own point. Whoever the fucking
guy's name was,
just because you are anywhere.
Look, I'm just saying it was good seeing that, because I feel like Evan Neal gets that done to him every week. So it was nice to see.
I give credit to anyone that is in the roster spot number 50 to 53 on an NFL man roster, because of the fact that you made the NFL, even if you made the practice squad. But it doesn't mean you're good. It also just means you were available.
Yeah.
And there are plenty. And like I said, I give Kavon credit, and I never thought Kavon was a bust. Same thing. I don't think Evan Neal's
people say he's a bust. Like, I don't like that, man.
But to Zach's point, people forget Kavon missed Zach Wilson on that 3rd and 10. There were plays that Kavon could have made, but like I said, I give him the award for the hustle on that last sack. But to James's point, he went up against Zach Wilson and Sam Howell, and he's got 4.5 sacks in 2 games.
And today he's going up against, what's the guy's name?
O'Connell?
O'Connell or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
He's a rookie,
He's a
right?
rookie.
So,
But
you know,
I look at it this way:
He should
Cowboys,
have 2 sacks today.
Cowboys
He should have 2 sacks today.
because I don't think is because they got decent, like Colton Miller. I think he's probably, out of the last few weeks, he's probably going to be one of the better tackles that he's gone up against. Colton he's a good football player. He's not, he's probably like top 15, maybe top 20 as far as, being an offensive tackle. I don't know who their right tackle is, but Colton Miller is not a bad football player. So I want to see him go that route. I don't mean to get off topic, but
the issue is this: they're probably not going to put him against. If they have an opportunity to move him against a weaker lineman, that's where he's going to go.
Well, yeah, and I like the fact that Wink's been doing that the last few weeks, moving him around, which I felt like earlier in the year, and a lot of times last year, he wasn't doing that. He wasn't flip-flopping him and putting him in dirt. And you even pointed it out, Tim. Lately, he's been putting his hands in the dirt. I like that.
I've said this, I don't know how many times. I've said this now for 6-7 weeks. I said this during training camp.
You were saying it in the offseason.
He should play with his hands in the dirt the entire time. He's not a linebacker. He's not going to give you what you need in coverage. He is not good as a stand-up rusher. He is better with his hand in the dirt, where he can use his strength. He can use his athleticism, kind of like he did in college at times, because you're not gonna bully the majority of the people. You are going to go up against weaker opponents, but you're not going to bully the majority of people you're going to go up against. And when you're sitting there against one-on-one matchups and you're creating that, and he does not have, so if a player does not have tight end help against Kavon Thibodeaux, hopefully he's going to be able to take advantage of those situations, and he's not going to be able to do that as a stand-up linebacker.
Yeah, no, I agree.
No, I should go on the Carl Banks show. Call WFAN. Tell him I'm coming on for a spot.
And one last quick point about Kavon, because I don't want to trash him too much, because I've been hard on him personally. But the secondary has also picked up their play the last week.
Because there was a lot of time in the jet game. You're right.
What's going on with Hawkins? I haven't really seen him a lot. Has he been benched?
He's gotten smoked like a pack of play, so they put him on the bench.
Have you seen him play?
Put it plainly. He's still learning.
You got Darnay Holmes and Cordell Flott out there. That's how bad.
Well, I mean, I haven't seen Darnay Holmes, but Flott has actually.
Darnay Holmes has some big plays.
Flott has been actually stepping up the last couple of times that he's gotten into the game and played. So they must have.
Let me get to Joe's super chat though, because he has been waiting though. Speaking of holding on to the ball too long, the worst time to get a quarterback is when you need one. I'm tired of the DJ era. Here's to hoping we draft a quarterback. Well, I think we talked about in the first hour. I think there was a mini rant.
Well, there was what? So I saw reports yesterday. Like a breakdown. I guess we've gone to see Drake May 4 times, and I think this was the third time that they saw Caleb Williams. And it makes me fucking sick. People.
And only 2 general managers were at last night's game, and that was Joe Schoen, the general manager of the Denver Broncos.
And Joe Schoen was on the sideline watching this kid, warm up. And look, just quickly on it, people want to shit on fucking Caleb Williams and he lost the game, and they make fun of him because he's fucking crying. To me, that shows like that you care. Like, there's no question that
Rob missed the first 40 minutes of the show.
Passion and emotion.
Like, it's like, dude, like the kid's going out there and fucking playing his ass off every fucking week. And USC probably has one of the worst fucking defenses I've ever seen in a long fucking time. And he's still going. I mean, the motherfucker put up 42 fucking points. If you put up 42 fucking points and lose a football game, I'm sorry, but like,
and you still score 38.
Like, dude, like people could say, like, I'll be very honest. You put up 42 points, and let's just say Caleb Williams threw an interception at the end of the game to cost him the game. I'm not going to put that loss on fucking Caleb Williams. You put up 42 fucking points and you still lost the fucking game. Like, that's defense. That's defense, man.
stop a junior transfer running back. I think he came from Missouri, and Johnson, who only has, I think, most of the season with most yardage over the last 3 or 4 was 400 something yards, and he had like 189 yards last night.
Yeah, dude, like that's just fucking like. So look, I think just talking about because those are the two guys. Obviously, Penix, he's good. He's a good football player. I think when you're looking at those two, I think those two guys have a lot of the traits that you look for a quarterback. When I watch a little bit of Drake May, I do see a little bit of Justin Herbert as far as like some of the throws he makes, the decisions, running. Caleb Williams, it's like some of the plays he makes, man. It's like Mahomes like
the fourth and one touchdown he threw.
Bro, like spinning around, stopping on it. Like I'm stalking, dude. He set his feet and whipped that ball into the end zone. I think it was number 4, Williams or something like that. That caught it, like for the touchdown, bro. Like, dude, what the fuck? Like he spun around, stopped, looked downfield, saw an open guy, and have the processing and the knowledge. Set your feet, know where to put the ball, put it on a laser, and throw the fucking touchdown. Like. That's just craziness. So like, look, I don't know what's going to happen.
Joe says it best. That's what I get for coming here late. It's also
I don't know what's
going
to happen.
We already had these conversations for a half hour. I had a rant.
Yeah. Let me ask you guys.
Giant fans either racist, stupid, or just plain idiots.
Let me ask you guys this because Tim, I haven't.
We kind of said that it's all three.
I haven't talked to you this week at all, but so the trade deadline.
Week of my life.
I know, best week of your life. Trade deadline. Obviously, we traded Leo. Good move. They needed to make it. They had like $1.3 million.
Almost sacked.
You guys got that for free, okay? You got it for free. Actually, no. Joe gave $5, so technically he paid.
Joe gave $5. Joe gave $5 for the Philadelphia Children's Hospital.
Were either of you disappointed that was the only move that we made? And because I think Adoree would have gotten moved, but I think because Jalen Johnson.
I also think the injury to Adoree right now was predicated.
I don't necessarily that too, but I think that what really hurt it was when Jalen Johnson from the Chicago Bears said he wanted to get traded. I think that people looked at that as a little bit more of a. And then Rasul Douglas from the Packers, who was a good football player too, like. He got traded. I think he went to the 49ers or something like that. So were you guys upset that Leo was the only move that we made?
Here's why we made the Leo move. And I'm going to be honest. And I've said this before. People are like, wait, we got a steal of a deal out of 2 and a 5. Yeah, we did. But the only reason we got this steal of a deal is because we picked up the majority of his contract.
What did we free up?
Yeah. We freed up $9 million because of the fact that at that point in time, we only had $500,000 in cap space. So there was no way we were going to be able to field a 53-man roster like we did 2 years ago when we had 51. I think we had 50 men because we didn't have the salary cap space. The only reason that Leo got traded, and I think Shane's thought process was this. I still think Shane and Dable have this hope in some regards that the Giants are going to rattle off some wins and they're going to have a opportunity to do something. But the only reason that Leonard got traded was because of the fact that we needed cap space.
Oh, 100%.
They're not going to renegotiate anyone's contract. They're not going to move any more money into 2024, 2025. They're not going to do that. The only reason, we basically bought a second and a fifth rounder and moved talent off the roster. That's what we did. Now, everyone knows that a second and a fifth is not guaranteed to do anything in this league. It's not like we got a first rounder, but it's good to get the assets because you could trade the assets. And I think they didn't make any additional moves because there's still this mindset, and James alluded to this earlier, that maybe the Giants make a run. We have some teams that we're going to go up against that that are like we're going against the Raiders. We're going to go against New England. We're going against a couple teams that, maybe are not going to be at full strength or not as good as they thought they were. And I think Shane and Dable just kind of have this thought process of like, we can still steal some games. We're only 2-6. We already won a divisional game. let's hold on to the assets we have because we're more likely we just don't have the money but we don't have the money right now to do anything. We couldn't sign a kicker. We couldn't sign Matt Barkley. We couldn't sign anyone because we had $500,000 in cap space. And I've said this, and everyone always gets on my fucking ass about this, and this pisses me off. I have said this since the start of training camp. We are going to hit a point in this season where we run out of money because of Darren Waller, because of the contracts, so some of the things that we have done. And everyone says, you don't know what you're talking about. You know what you're talking about. We hit the trade deadline. We only make this move because of the fact that we need money.
We couldn't even fucking afford to put people on IR.
That's what I'm saying. We needed the cash. And that's the reason why Leonard Williams is gone. And I think in some regards, when Leonard Williams came out in Seattle and said, I am just happy to be with a winning organization. I'm just happy to be on a winning team. It was slightly hi back in the background. It was slightly a slight. It was a little bit of a slight to the Giants and the organization. And even when Xavier McKinney came out and said, hey, listen, I thought we were trying to win. Leo's important to the team. We thought we were trying to win some games, but you're moving a guy, but you're not moving a guy because of his talent. You are moving a guy because of his salary, because we have mismanaged the cap, as Forrest Gump would say, again. And we're in the same situation we have been in 2002, 2022, and 2021.
Yeah, I think the concerning part for me, and when everybody talks about, this reset, all this, all that, whatever, blah, 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 if they were going to be resetting, and I kind of agree with you, Tim, like maybe they feel like they can try to rattle off some wins because they didn't move anybody else, right? They didn't. Now, maybe they couldn't move Adoree because of his injury. Maybe they couldn't move Waller because of his injury. I don't think Barkley was ever going to go anywhere.
Well, they weren't going to move Waller because he went on the IR.
Yeah, well, no, this was after the fact. Like they
knew he was going on the IR.
Yeah, they probably knew he was going to go on IR, so it was no point there. But you're talking about like guys like maybe Slayton, guys like Paris Campbell, guys that you could probably could have moved for like maybe later round picks. They didn't do anything like that. Maybe so. The fact that we got a 2 and a 5 for Leonard is good. Here's my thing: is I don't see us beating New England, and that's because I don't think that, despite the fact of their offense, I don't think that their offense will do well against our defense. But I think that Bill Belichick is going to shut down our offense. I don't think we're going to be able to do anything offensively against their defense. They have
he's going to get all that information from Joe Judge.
Well, probably. And so, and the thing with this Raider game, right, is everybody's looking at this Raider game like, oh yeah. Let me point a couple of things out. One, Antonio Pierce being like them making a change in the head coach. Nobody in that locker room or on that team liked Josh McDaniels.
Before you get to that, I want to get to James. I want to hear James's answer to the Leonard Williams question.
Oh, my bad.
Oh, well, again, just to put it real simple, as far as the trade deadline and the Leonard Williams move, all the players that other teams
King of the almost sack.
That one was free.
This is it, guys. This is it.
It's it for the king.
It's good for the king. The king is dead.
All of the players on our team that other players would actually trade for, we want to keep the few good ones we have. And then a lot of the other players that we want to get rid of, like Paris Campbell, when people in the offseason were talking about, we got Paris Campbell, I was sitting there going, who the hell is Paris Campbell? And if he was really that good,
didn't he play in Ohio State?
Exactly. Who the hell is Campbell? And I'm an Ohio State fan. And I'm talking about his pro career. A team in the Colts who's going to bring in a rookie quarterback, wouldn't you want to keep all your good weapons to help him? So the fact that they just let that guy go, that was a sign.
And Paris Campbell also came out and said that he misjudged the market in reference to the amount of money he thought he was going to get. And he kind of had to take the Giant offer.
I'm sure he did.
No, he came out. He literally came out and said it.
So with the trade deadline, yeah, there's a lot of moves. Like, first of all, I wouldn't want to give up Slayton because no matter how many people in Giant Land hate that guy, he's been our best receiver over the last 4 years. It's not even close. It's not even freaking close. And I'm not saying that he's what's my man, Akeem Nicks or anything, but he's been our best receiver. So for the rest of the year, and if we're not going to re-sign him, then keep him. Who cares? I
have a question for both of you one at a time. Darius Slayton, would you take a 6th round for him, James? Take a 6th-round pick.
No.
Rob,
Honestly,
same,
no.
Rob, same question. Would you take a 6th-rounder for Darius Slayton?
I probably wouldn't take anything less than a 5.
Okay, Paris Campbell, James. Would you take a 6th-rounder for Paris Campbell?
Yes.
Rob, same question.
Yes.
Would you take a 5th-rounder, James, for Adoree Jackson?
Ooh.
I would say no less than a 4th for me.
Yeah, I would say at least a 4 for Adoree. At least a 4.
At least a 4. So these are 3 guys you could potentially have traded, but more than likely the market value for them outside of the New York team. If you take a look at the contenders and reference to who needs a corner and who needs a wide receiver, this is probably what you're going to get. You're probably not going to get, because we're not talking that we're trading, Jerry Rice at the end of his career from the 49ers to the Raiders, who then turns into a couple 1,000-yard season. We're not talking about that. We're talking about Darius Slayton, Paris Campbell. And I love Adoree Jackson. I think Adoree Jackson's come in here and stepped it up and really played well. But at the end of the day, you're not getting a 4th-rounder for Adoree Jackson. You still have the contract. You still have injury issues. And contenders, are probably going to lowball you anyways for it. So I think that's one of the reasons why. And like I said, we got a 2 and a 5 for Leonard because of the fact that Pete Carroll and those guys understand, okay, you're giving me the cap flexibility by picking up the majority of his contract. And I want to make the playoffs this year. So sure, here's a 2 and a 5.
The other thing too, that I don't know where Jalen Johnson was in his contract. That could have played a factor too, where Adoree was on the last year of his deal and would have had to have gotten a new contract more than likely, or the team who would traded for him probably would have wanted to, he probably would have wanted to renegotiate. So maybe that played in a factor into it. That's a possibility. I think with the Slayton thing, like I agree with you, James. Like I think he's been probably one of our more productive wide receivers, on the roster. But you've got a young guy in Wando Robinson. You got a young player in Jalen Hyatt. Darius Slayton is not going to be your wide receiver of the future. And if he was, you would have signed him for more of a than a 2-year deal. So if you can ship him off to a team like, I don't know, the Chiefs, or you ship him off to a team like the Ravens or something like that maybe needs some wide receiver help due to either injury or just lack of production, or ship the Colts, right? Or something like that, whoever, and get a 5th-round pick. Like I think you can probably get a 5th-round pick for Darius Slayton.
Here's the question about that. And here's the good question. Kadarius Toney, where was he drafted?
Was it
7th
round?
He was 1st-round pick number 20.
1st-round pick number 20. And we sent him over to the Kansas City Chiefs for what?
I can't even remember.
Honestly. A 3rd and a 6th.
So if you take a look at someone that had only been in the league in a year and a half, was already was a 1st-round pick that was traded in the 2nd year of his contract, and that's what you got for him, you're not getting a 5th-rounder for Darius Slayton. You can wish, you can hope, you can pray, but
I think but
a smart general manager is going to look at this and say, well, Darius Slayton has had his issues. Darius Slayton has put up numbers. He's been their most consistent wide receiver.
And Tony has more juke and just ability.
But Tim, the other thing with that though is, one, this was when KT got traded. I think it was his 2nd year.
It was in the middle of the 2nd year.
Yeah. So you still technically have another 2 years.
Exactly.
So 2 years of control plus a 5th-year option if you wanted to.
That's why you gave got a 3 and a 6.
Yeah. So I do think that Darius Slayton could go for a 5. That's the only reason why they got a 3 was because of the contract situation.
I don't think Darius Slayton could have gone for a 5 at all. I think we overvalue.
You don't think that Slayton has put up more production than Kadarius Toney?
Wait.
Rob, hold on real quick.
So, all right, hold on. So if Toney put up,
ask your question.
Yeah, don't stop doing that, Rob.
Ask your question.
Well, all I was gonna say is, we have a bad habit in our community and Giants of overvaluing our players, right? Like even the thing you were saying before, Rob, about how some fans think we're gonna go on a run and beat some teams, and why do people think that? Like, do people understand in the Giant land? Like, we are the scum of the earth in the NFL right now. We are the doggy bags that people take to go clean up their dog poop when they're walking their dogs. I know that sounds harsh, but we suck. All right, we're coming off a week losing to our inner stadium rival. Our kicker was hurt. Coach hid that. He's having surgery. Our quarterback was ready to play. Nobody knew, including the coach, or he was hiding it. And now we're playing our quarterback who we oversigned, overhyped, and we really want our 34-year-old backup in there. Oh, and by the way, the third stringer, we don't even let him throw a pass. So all these things, and not you guys, but all you people out there who think, well, we can make a run. No, we can't. I mean, we can, because anything can happen any given Sunday. I give us a 1% chance.
And that's just the fucking luck Daniel Jones has.
But
in reality, we suck.
Here's the thing that people forget about Darius Slayton. Darius Slayton was a free agent.
He had an offer from the Falcons.
Darius Slayton was a free agent, and Darius Slayton came back on a deal that has an out after, or I should say has an out after 2023. There's an out for the Giants in that 2024 contract where it's only going to cost them $1.7 million in dead cap space. So the league thought so highly of Darius Slayton. The Giants thought so highly of Darius Slayton, of his ability and everything that he can do, that he only got one there was no bidding war. Paris Campbell got more money. You could say that Darius Slayton has put up much better numbers than Paris Campbell.
Hell yeah.
So you have to look at the fact that he was an unrestricted free agent. He got one offer, took a less offer with the Giants to come back, and he basically signed a 2-year, $12 million deal. With the first year is only $700,000. He had a $700,000 roster bonus, a $300,000 workout bonus, and a $1.4 million base salary, and a 1.57 in signing bonus.
His dead cap next year is only what, 1.7?
It's 1.7. So the league thought so highly of his talent that he got one contract offer and took a $6 million deal for the Giants that the Giants can get out of next year. So that's why you're not.
I just think from
Campbell got more money.
I think from a team that you could potentially gotten a fifth from a team that needed a wide receiver. They suffered an injury.
Name one.
But who's taking a wide receiver that has the dropsies?
He hasn't really had that issue this year. He's actually made
the Buffalo game when Tyrod threw a rope to him.
Yeah, there was a
big drop. That was a big drop, Rob.
That was a big drop. I forgot about that. Actually, that was a big drop.
I forgot about it. I forgot about it too.
Yeah, I forgot all about that. Mike Glenn, let's get to Mike Glenn's super chat. It's not a $5 super chat. It's only $4.99, so we can't do King of the Almost Sec.
King of the Almost.
You cheap bastard.
Everything goes to Philadelphia Children's Hospital. DJ's type of injury is worse, is even worse, made worse because he stares down the wide receivers. He is the greatest talent as a runner, is also going to make him his most skittish. I mean, yeah, he's going to get killed. Daniel Jones,
Crosby's going to fuck him up today.
Crosby's going to have 2 sacks.
I worry about Crosby. I really do. Yes, Blackbird. Let's run through something. So I didn't get a lot of these.
And AT's not playing today, right?
I don't know if he's not playing or not. Zach, is Andrew Thomas playing today?
I think Neil's playing. Neil, I think, is playing.
Oh, so
I don't know, but
they're good for at least 2 sacks. According to Rob, because Bobby Johnson sucks, but somehow that we dropped down.
Oh, don't even fucking start about Bobby Johnson.
3 sacks now a game from 12.
Everybody knows who Bobby Johnson is, thanks to Rob. Bobby Johnson can't even go get a bacon, egg, and cheese.
Look, realistically, though, over the next 4 weeks, because obviously we play the Raiders today, then we played Dallas, Washington, and the Patriots. I think the best record that we could go is 2-2. But if we lose today somehow, 1-3 is probably, because the only other game I see us winning is maybe Washington.
We actually just got some news in. Bobby Johnson is taking over for Carl Banks in WFAN.
Oh God!
Sorry,
Lord help us.
Oh God!
Sorry,
Lord.
I just got to say, Lawrence Tynes has really disappointed me with some of the stuff he said in the last.
Dude, Lawrence Tynes, he's an idiot, dude.
James,
he was a lot more.
We're looking for tough. We're looking for dependable.
I've always asked this question, James, or this has always been a question. What do you call a person that hangs out with football players?
A football.
I played kicker. That was always the joke. When I played, that was always the joke.
But he's been on like championship teams. You
Dude,
should
he's a
have
fucking-
better insight, you know.
He's
Like,
paid. He's
damn,
paid
brother.
by Mara. Mara's paid him. He's
Yeah, I
getting
know
paid
him,
under
Howard Cross, and Carl Banks, the trio.
he's getting paid under the fucking table.
Joe wants to know if we're watching the Miami game. They're coming back in. I don't know. I haven't seen the Miami game. Mike Glenn says worried about a huge game from Josh Jacobs and Devon. I'm worried about Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs. Everyone's
If you think Devontae Adams is going to have the game he had last week, you're bugging.
Oh no, dude, and that's what I was trying to say before is like everybody in that locker room hated Josh McDaniels. Antonio Pierce has taken over just from his interview that he talked about. He's going to bring a little bit of a swagger, to the team or whatever. They're going to want to play hard for him. Pause. Right. So it's like
That's what she said.
they got a new offensive coordinator calling plays, and typically teams like when they get change like the next week, they kind of play a little bit tough. Look what happened when John Gruden got fired. And I forgot the guy's name, that took over. I think they won that week. Like they probably played their best game that week. Carr played good, everything. So I think that Pierce, especially, this probably means a lot to him because he's a former Giant, and he's going up his first head coaching job or position or game is going to be against his former team, the New York Giants. So and I think Pierce is going to be like, listen, we need to get the ball to our playmakers. That's Devontae. That's Jacobs. We need to get them the ball. And even Michael Mayer is making plays as far as a rookie tight end. That's what he is going to emphasize. And he's going to say defense because he played on a championship caliber defense. What is he going to say? Get after the quarterback. Get after the quarterback, and everything else will take care of itself.
We have a few minutes left. I want to make sure we get to the guess the score contest because whoever gets the score right, no one's got it right yet. You win the Eli Manning replica 2011 Super Bowl ring. Before we get there to you can guess the score, I would just like to do a little public service announcement. I don't like to toot my own horn, but I want some apologies.
Yes, you do.
I know I do. I told people we were going to run out of money by mid-season. I was told I was an idiot. I told people that Waller was not traded because of the wedding. It was traded because of injuries, his salary, and his age. And now he's out for 4 games. And if you're on the 4-game IR with only 9 games left, it's not really a short-term IR. So I would like some apologies. I'll sit back and wait.
Oh, don't forget that you said that Tyrod Taylor would come in and play better than Daniel Jones. He has.
Oh, that's
the two.
All right, so then let me ask you this question.
See that?
So then let me ask you this question, Tim. Let's see if you can be right about this. Are the Giants drafting a quarterback in the draft?
Yes.
In the first round?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. That's happening.
Okay. All right. Second question. Will the Giants have a top 5 pick?
They will trade into the top 5.
Ooh, they will trade. Okay.
I like this.
Where in the top 5 do you see them trading? Like 3, 2?
2.5. I don't know. It's not even the
Okay,
draft.
so look, because what I'm asking is what's the team that has 2 first-round picks? Is it the Cardinals?
This
Well,
is what
it also depends who's drafting because they're going to be bad teams that
Well,
don't.
don't the Cardinals have 2 first-round picks right now?
Yes.
The Bears do too.
But here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna tell you right, and this is what's gonna happen. I've already predicted this on Twitter. I'm gonna give my 2-week Daniel Jones prediction. Daniel Jones has a great game today. He gets wrecked, and then he gets wrecked in Dallas next week. And then tonight, everyone's going to be all the Penny boys are going to be out in force saying, "Look, see if we had Daniel Jones healthy all season." And blah 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 blah. And then he's going to get wrecked in Seattle, and it's going to be against Dallas, and it's going to be everyone else's fault but Daniel Jones. Giants in the draft. Joe Shane is moved assets to get his 2 and a 5 so he can turn around and make something happen. I think the Giants are going to get stupid and go on a mini run and win some games that they hopefully wouldn't win. And then turn around and fall out of the top 10. But then Joe Shane's going to take the assets he has, kind of do a Ernie Accorsi, not maybe move up to the first overall pick, but maybe move in within, I would say, striking distance of 3 or 4, and then turn around. And somebody is Charlie Brown's teacher there? And then he's going to move into at least the top 5 to get either May or Penix.
Wife is vacuuming upstairs.
I think that's exactly what's going to happen. We're going to win a couple games down the stretch that we shouldn't win. Like we missed out on Chase Young a couple years ago, and Shane is going to have. You know what the bad thing is though? All the teams know the position we're in. We overpaid for a guy nobody wanted. We're having a horrible year. Everybody's going to know come draft time we're going to need to trade up. So we might get fleeced a little bit, and we may have to do that. They have to say, "Hey, man, just take these picks."
So right now, as of today, Arizona has the number 1 pick at 1-7. Carolina technically has the 2nd pick, but they traded that to Chicago. So the Bears have it. So the Bears have pick 2, and they have their own pick at 3. So they have 2 picks of 2 and 3. And then we are at pick 4. So really, to be honest, that is the team that let's just say it ended today. That would probably be the team that the Giants try to trade with. And I think a lot of that would be based on the fact of what they do with Fields. If Fields is playing good down the stretch of the season, which I don't think he's injured right now, but I don't know when he's coming back, if he's coming back. But if they decide not to go quarterback and change the head coach, you might be able to move up a slot.
I think the Bears are keeping Fields. I think you don't give Montez Sweat the contract. You don't trade for Montez Sweat and give him that contract if you have this feeling that you are going to take another quarterback the next year. I think they're going to go offensive line, and they're going to try to find someone in that secondary. And I think the Bears, to your point, would be smart enough to let's say they want to stay at 2 to take the best player they want. They trade with the Giants to move up into 3. They make the Giants give them 2 number 1s and a 3 maybe just to move that 1 spot. And
is that what it would cost?
No, but you look at the Mitchell Trubisky trade. You know, there are teams that are get desperate. And I don't think Shane's going to get desperate, but sometimes you have to pay the value of the pick because there are also other quarterback hungry teams sitting behind the Giants. Wait, and you take a look at it. We traded 2 number 1s, and
if we try to move up and jump us.
When we got Eli Manning, we traded that year's number 1. I think the 2nd or 3rd rounder. The following year's number 1.
They got a lot.
Sean Merriman. Then we trade. I forget how many. We gave up like 5 picks to move up basically like 6-7 spots.
Well, you got New England. That's at 5. That more than likely is going to be looking for a quarterback. Green Bay's probably not at 6.
They might be. Depends on how Love finishes out the season.
Colts is not. Yeah, the Raiders are probably going to be looking for a quarterback at 8. The Broncos are going to be looking for a quarterback at 9. Washington at 10. Yep, maybe the Rams.
Rams need to find an heir apparent to the quarterback they have now.
Yeah, I mean, do you think a 1, do you think a pick swap, so 4 for 3?
You're going to need a pick swap, and I would say another number 1.
Yeah.
It is going to cost you 2 1s to move up 1 spot, you think?
Potentially.
I think so.
So you think 2 1s and a third?
If you're going to give 2 1s, I would say like a 5th.
Because if we could do that and you can keep both 2s, the 2 that you just got
and you're
from Seattle, and you get 2 second round picks, you can even take those 2 second round picks if you want. And if there's a player that you want on the back end of the first round, take those 2 and move back into the 1.
Bad example, but do a Gettleman and move back into the lower half of the first round.
The lower half of the first round, yes. Or at bare minimum, you'll be able to take 2 probably maybe decent players.
And if you can do something with Daniel Jones's contract, which is going to be highly unlikely, or if you could find a way to give him more money in bonus, but there's only a certain percentage that you can give him, and then free up some additional cap space, you can then use him as the bridge, go find some offensive line help in free agency, and continue to build through the draft without really taking out more than that first round asset and that 5th rounder. And you just got a 5th rounder from Seattle.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I would do.
I actually could see a world where they move up to 3. And at that point, I think you're going to I agree with you. I don't think Chicago's going to draft a quarterback. I really don't.
I think
I don't.
I think they're gonna stick with Fields. And so Arizona at number 1, I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do. Like everybody thinks they're gonna move off of Kyler Murray. I don't know if they are.
You can't. He is worse than the Deion Jones contract.
Like I just don't see a world where they draft a quarterback. I just can't. I think his dead cap hit is like fucking like $80 million or some shit next year.
Crazy.
Like there's no
really
way they're moving off of that. There's no shot. So if there's a possibility that you can move up to 3 and you've got Caleb and
2020,
you've got Drake,
2024, 81 million in dead caps.
That's fucking nuts, dude.
Wait, we're not done yet. 2025, 33 million, 2026, 20 million, 2027, 7 million.
So they can't get rid of him until 2026.
You can't get rid of him in 2026 because you are looking at $130 million in dead cap space over 3 seasons if you move on from Kyler Murray.
There's no shot they do that.
No.
No shot.
No.
There's no chance that they're fucking moving.
All right, everyone, put your scores in because I got to get out of here. Put your scores into the chat because I got to go to Michael's. I got to get some prime.
You gotta go to Michael's.
I do have to go to Michael's. I'm not lying. I got to go to Michael's.
No, I know you do. No man says that if he's not really going.
I'm going to my. I don't care.
That's
how secure. That's how secure I am in my masculinity. Put your score in the chat. We are not only giving away the Eli Manning replica Super Bowl ring, we are also giving away. This is a collector's item.
King of the almost sack.
We are giving away the King of the almost sack mouse pad. So if you win, and also give away a King of the almost sack coffee mug. So put your score in. If you win, you get the King of the almost sack coffee mug and mouse pad, along with our favorite thing, the Eli Manning replica 2011 Super Bowl ring. So make sure, hopefully we got a score here. We got Mr. McCormick. We got Joey B already coming on 17-13 G-Man. Mr. McCormick already coming in 10-7 Raiders. Giants Dallas Cowboys next week. I love Blackbird.
Hey, Tim, I'm sorry. I gotta run. Something just came up. I gotta run.
Gotta go to Michael's.
Yeah, gotta go to Michael's.
And we got R0B. All right, guys, we got R0B dropping out. We got OG Knockout going 31-17 Raiders. We got 30. Joe coming in 30-14 G-Men. John Smith's got 23-17 Giants. We also got 20. Wait, geez, everything keeps clicking. Stop clicking. We have 13. We have 13. We have 17-13 Raiders. We have 17-14 Raiders. We got 13-17 Raiders. We got 26-14 G-Men. We got 21-17 Giants. We have 15-17 Raiders. We got 23-17 Giants. We got 30-14 Giants. We got OG Knockout going 31-17. We got 10-7. You know what's funny? Someone almost won last week, James, because I think they had 9. I think they had 9-6.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Someone almost won. Let's see. We also have JM coming. Raiders 31, Giants 17. Raiders 24, Giants 10. Razzle dropping in at 20-8 Raiders. James, what's your score prediction here, my friend?
I got you know what? 23-17 G-Men.
I am going 21-14 Giants. Daniel Jones, 2 touchdown passes, 200 yards, has a Tyrod Taylor-esque performance. And the Giant fan base goes crazy because it's the exact same numbers as Tyrod Taylor, and he was a bum.
And I'm predicting he's going to throw Jalen Hyatt a pass.
No.
Yes, because the coaches think about it. Dave was, you have to throw this.
Daniel Gentlemen, which brings me to my next point. Don't smoke crack.
He's not allowed to throw to 13. It's against the rules.
You can't throw past 20 yards, right? I know.
Past throwing 20 yards, and if he sees a 13, he's not allowed to throw that ball. Don't forget to like. And James, you have any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, I just focus on the development of the young guys for the rest of the year. You know, we talked a lot about the draft and everything, and we'll get there when we get there. But just look at the young guy. Look at one thing I like about what Kavon Rob said. You know, he does have a chance, an opportunity to step up and be a leader going forward, you know, if that's in him, if he can do that. You know, Hawkins, hopefully he'll get back on the field. You know, Banks developing, you know, just the young guys on the team develop. Hyatt, you know, with Wandell, like that's what I'm looking for. I think we should all look at that, just how our core is going to develop.
Mike Lee, I'm not taking this bet. Daniel Jones throws something into contact, and they will leave the game. I'm not taking
Yo,
that bet.
that's scary, Mike. Don't say that, man. 'Cause that can happen.
I'm not. We got Mohan dropping it late at 24-17. G-Man. If you still put your score in the chat, even when we leave, I still count it. So don't worry about it. Because you know what, we got to close it out here. And I like to thank R0B. I like to thank James Williams. I like to thank Debatable, Dahmer, and Carl Banks for being on the show today. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to ring that bell. You want to know why, James? That'd be awesome.